All right, we are live. Hello, happy Monday. How's everybody's Monday? Yeah, good. So we had Wendy Papasan coming to talk to us, and that was before Spring Masterminds was scheduled. And also, let me just teach you a little lesson I learned this week. When you do something like a project like this, a passion project, and you don't want to bother your director of ops, so you don't ask her to handle things like when someone says yes 2 months ago, sending them a calendar invitation. It wasn't even on Wendy's calendar because I never sent her the reminder calendar invitation. So how's that for a lesson? Love you, Heather. I didn't want to bother her, and it bothers her even more. She's like, Missy. So we are today talking about culture, and I wanted my husband to kind of kick us off, Steve here. Chapter 12, Build the Culture. And of course, I think we are all here because of the culture in Keller Williams, because of the culture that Mo, along with some other key players, really helped to build in our company. And one of my very favorite things that she says in here is, the right culture is resilient. It provides a foundation that supports us and a place we can always return to. It sustains us, embraces us, and keeps us whole. Now, I don't know about you, but for about, a decade, Steve, we've been hearing culture this, culture that, culture of a team, culture, culture, culture. And then finally, yes, love it. Finally, Steve and I went to, was it Mega Relief maybe?
No, it was Mega Camp.
Mega Camp. Well, Steve, do you want to share the story?
Sure. And I won't remember her name. I want to say she's from Anchorage. And it's like it's like a Norwegian name or something. She was on Bergstrand.
Yeah.
Okay. She was on stage, and I wish I remembered exactly what her topic, the question that she was asked, but her answer was that we all need to be able to answer the question, you're a culture of what? What are you a culture of? Your team, your personal mission, whatever it is. Answer the question, you're a culture of what? And it really stuck with Missy and I. And so on the drive back from Austin to Oklahoma City, we spent pretty much the whole time kind of figuring out what we wound up with was a document, our 10 pillars of culture, and it's changed over time. And it's interesting though, but going through that exercise, what do you stand for? What things are important to you? And Heather, read the last part of that passage was something about I don't know. I didn't catch all of it. Something about a foundation.
Mm-hmm. The right culture is resilient. It provides a foundation that supports us and a place we can always return to. It sustains us, embraces us, and keeps us whole.
Yeah. So, and what's interesting is our culture is different from someone else's culture, and that's okay. It's not necessarily about how many deals you do or how much commission you earn, all that sort of thing. It's about whether you have that foundation. And so it was really powerful for us to sit and be purposeful about what do we stand for. And I think it's been coming up on 2 years now, right? And so it's probably time to revisit that. Hey, do these pillars still stand? Do we need new ones? Do we need to modify,
Well, we just looked at it when we were kind of in the pandemic, we thought, okay, we need to make sure that our standards are still our standards, and our standards and our culture pieces are they're different documents. They're part of the same thing. Oh, I didn't. Okay, so that's Kelly Clark, Mo's person. And she said there's no news yet. because I don't know about you guys. I'm just waiting to hear any news on Mo's surgery. So Kelly that was the ding, and she just wrote back, not yet. So one thing I loved in the second paragraph of this whole chapter, I learned the benefits of culture from my family, from my teachers, from my church, and from the leaders I was blessed to work with. I experienced the strength that these environments provided with their values, encouragement, teamwork, and love. And then she says, all elements of culture. To build culture at Keller Williams, we began with an affirmation, our most important stated value, God and family first, then business. This simply states our belief about life's priorities. And then after that, Stephanie, can I put you on the spot? Stephanie's my team leader, and here I am looking at the Y4C2Ts. I have not yet, so I'm leading our culture committee this year, and I am committed to, and have not yet done it, learning this whole thing with all of the hand gestures. And I haven't gotten it yet. Did you know there's hand gestures to this? Okay, Stephanie, do you know them all? I don't know if you do.
You know, I wish I could say I did. You know, when I first went to FSO, when I first joined Keller Williams 8 years ago, they had a little dance. I mean, it was a little bit of a dance. So not just hand gestures, it was kind of a lot of movement. And shame on me as a team leader, but quite frankly, it's probably a good thing, because if I did know it, I think people would get mad at me because I do it all the time.
She really would too. Okay, so the Y4C2Ts, and I know you guys know this, win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, customers always come first, teamwork, together everyone achieves more, trust starts with honesty, success results through people. And I think what's so amazing about this is I've heard the Y4C2Ts many, many, many times. And then when you're reading through A Joy-Filled Life and you read it in context and in the timing of becoming CEO and being afraid and wondering if you've got what it takes, and coming from a life of not really working in your strength zone, and then figuring out, oh, wow, I'm a CEO. And I don't know how to read financials. And the thing that's so amazing about all of this is we know that in our company, hearing her say in the book, in the chapter, and I firmly believe it, that people come to our company because of the culture. You know, I've heard we're a coaching company, a training company, now we're a technology company. And the truth is, this is why I'm here. 100%. It's stories like Dana and how KW Cares helped her husband, that kind of stuff. And it's just absolutely incredible. So let's talk for a few minutes. How many of you are in masterminds, spring masterminds? Yeah, okay. I definitely want to hear keynote Eric Thomas. That's right at 12:45. So I'm gonna, is 12:40 enough time? Or do you need a potty break? Can I say that on Facebook Live? Y'all, I just did. I know y'all can't take me anywhere. So talk to me a little bit about what you think about culture in general, and a culture of what, and what are some of your takeaways and ahas from this chapter? You can go and unmute yourself. We're a small group, no guests today, so we're all guests.
I'll go. Okay, so my takeaway from this chapter is personally, it really hit me personally just because I grew up in California and all my family is from there. And so I don't have any family here. I've really struggled with finding a workplace that feels like a family. And so I think that this is going to be perfect for me just because, like the job that I did before, I was a detailer and drafter for structural steel. And so they were all about construction. And so a young girl with a new family, they didn't really think of me that way. So like finding out that there's so much about culture and how, you know, family and God first, business second, that is huge. And then to be able to have someone like Mo in a business like this, just like I've learned so much about this company, and I'm so glad for this business. I'm so glad that this is what the route that I'm taking. And that's kind of the culture is really what I'm looking forward to.
Fantastic. That's so exciting.
I know.
So she's coming to our office soon.
Yay.
She's finishing up. Little Okie farm girl getting her real estate license. Y'all know she's going to tear it up.
June 17th. So wish me luck.
Yep.
You know, I wanted to just say touch on what you said, Missy, about culture. And I agree. I think when I joined the company in 2011, and I became a team leader, I was not an agent here. I was hired in from another company where I was an agent. And what we never talked about it at any of my previous, when I was in real estate or when I was in the corporate world, we really did not have a conversation around culture. Because culture is, it's emotional. I mean, there's emotion there. It's not about, hitting the numbers and doing and all this. Although I will also say every team individual probably has their culture. I suggest they create their culture for their team. And as a leader of a market center, one of the pieces of that culture is productivity. I mean, because people are not coming to Keller Williams to just love on each other. We do that a lot, but that's not, we want them to create a life worth living, a business worth owning, right? But it's very interesting that when I first got here in 2011, they used to, whoever they are, the number was 48% of the people that joined Keller Williams. It was because of the culture. Because that is all over our walls. We talk about it, we dance to it, and it is absolutely what connects us all. Same thing with all of the Kellerisms. If you've listened to Gary Keller's CEO podcast, Think Like a CEO, he talks about that in his earlier podcast of saying the reason they have all these market center, team leader, MCA, blah, 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 we've got a ton of Kellerisms. It's because it's a common language that we all know. And it's like we belong to a little cult. We all speak that same language. And that's what's so endearing. But when I got here, someone said to me, it's not about selling real estate. It's about becoming something else. It's not who you are, it's what you become by being a part of this. And that is why I am here. And that is the culture, the clarity, the coaching, the technology, all of those things that incorporate that to bring us to this place of the person that I have become since I've been at Keller Williams. And I promise you, it's way better than it was when I first got here. My 2 cents.
That's incredible. No, I love it. I think that's the reason why I consider myself unrecruitable. Keller Williams and the different people in the company that have poured into me through relationships, books, programs, training, the person that I've become, I can never see turning my back. And to me, it would feel like turning my back on it. I'm an extremely loyal person. I don't know if you picked up on that with my dad here the other day. And it is about who I become. I never would have thought that this is who I would become. I had no idea. And the culture is absolutely phenomenal. It has done for me exactly what I think Mo and Kay Evans and Althea Osborne and all the others who worked so hard on creating this culture piece. I think it did exactly what they wanted it to do.
Mm-hmm.
Christine.
Hi, I was with another company prior to joining Keller Williams as well, because there was no KW where I was when I first started. I was licensed in 2007, And I think a year later, they opened KW Pinehurst, which is where I was at the time. And I started taking the classes because I love learning and personal development and stuff. But the biggest impact was, first of all, when I hear them say they were all going to family reunion, I go, I want to go to family reunion. You know, I don't want to go to like a so-and-so yellow brand. Sometimes they had a regional meeting, sometimes not. And so, but the other thing was that the culture and the God family business, but also showing you all of the classes I attended. I was a mentor in the company I worked, and I created their setting your goals for the next year, their business plan with the people in the company. Then I went across the street to Keller Williams to do my business plan. So, but the thing that struck me more than anything is I was taking 6 personal perspectives with Holly Prescott. And one of the questions that they were, asking was like a projection in the future. What do you see yourself doing? And I said, well, what if it's not necessarily real estate related? And, so I told her that, at some point I really wanted to write and speak. And she turned to me and she said, for the life of me, and I had taken more than half a dozen classes with Holly. We'd become good friends by that point, and I still was with the other company. And she said, I cannot for the life of me understand why you would stay with a company that does not support your dreams. And that was so powerful. And shortly after that, we moved from Pinehurst up to Durham, and I joined KW Chapel Hill. And I didn't even interview anyone else. I just went straight there. I said, I'm in, let's go. And but that was truly, there's not another real estate company on the planet that supports your dreams, whether they're just interested in the money in their pocket and not in the money in your pocket, and not in your being the best human that you can be. And I think that's huge with Keller Williams. I wish we could spread our KW, Y4C2, I can never get it right, Y4C2Ts to the world, and then we wouldn't have what's going on.
I totally agree. Wendy, what did you want to say?
Myself.
There you
Two things that always make me think of culture. Our team leader, Karen Prawl, who's Stephanie, you probably know her. I'm sure a lot of people know Karen Prawl. She's my mentor. I love her to death. She exemplifies culture, but one thing that stands out is we had a mega agent from our market that joined our company, and I won't name names, but this individual really thought he was better than everyone else, very arrogant, and really talked down to the staff. Like, the staff in our office was below him and disrespected them, and wanted everyone to bow down and look up to him and worship him. And so after multiple complaints from staff members about how they felt disrespected by him, he said, I'm sorry, you don't fit our culture, and asked him to leave the company. And this was actually brought up in another chapter in the book about, like, doing the right thing. And it may not be something that you want to do for the business, because, it's always great to have these mega agents that are bringing in tons of business and revenue to the company. But ultimately, it says that it's okay to be a bad person and disrespect the staff, and everyone in the business has to be treated with respect, or it brings everybody down. And so she asked him to leave, and the respect that she got from that, like, everyone in the office called her, texted her, emailed her saying, thank you so much for sticking with the culture and doing the right thing. And that made such a difference in our whole office environment. It was great. And then the other thing is, raise your hand if you know the story about what happened in Des Moines, Iowa. I don't know. Does anyone? Okay. Almost everybody then. But there was, I guess, and maybe somebody else could tell the story better, but there's a Iowa brokerage that was trying to take over the market and was only trying to put KW out of business basically in the area, and was only paying $1 co-op for any deals that came to a KW agent. And even to the point where they were brought to the local board, and the board, because they had people from that other brokerage on the board, they didn't change the rule. They said you're allowed to do anything as long as you pay a co-op. It doesn't matter what it is. And all these agents were working for basically no money. And I think it was Mo that found out and brought it up probably at a mega camp at one of her morning sessions, and asked everybody to chip in. And it was one of those many deals that Mo has saved so many lives, but raised enough money to make every single one of those agents whole, and just brought tears to everybody's eyes. So I'll never forget that. All the agents that were not able to support their family, but they were made whole because of our culture. And just things like that, you just
Yes.
can't find that anywhere else.
No, and it's so amazing because not only did our Keller Williams agents still show those homes knowing they would get nothing, they did the right thing for the client, and then they were taken care of for doing the right thing. And Christine, do you remember how long they were supported? Stephanie, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. You know what? Thank you for bringing that up, Wendy. That was a really powerful time. And what was very interesting, one thing that you may not have thought or didn't maybe not mentioned, is the other company had a lot of listings in town, but those Keller Williams agents did not avoid those listings where they were only offering $1. They showed the right house and sold the right house and said, we are not going to let that get in the way of finding a home for our buyers. And so this initiative went on for probably a year, maybe a year and a half. And when you can go on your DAs and give money to KW Cares, you had Des Moines on there too. So many of us contributed over year, and the market center that I was with previously, they also participated in fundraising events. So this went on for a long time, but the culture of that office was solid. I mean, talk about just the gratitude of having Mo Anderson and family, the huge big Keller Williams family, to have them support you and keep telling you you're doing the right thing. And it was a lengthy court battle, and it was overturned. But it was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I could be off on the time, but it was a long time.
It was a long time, and it was a lot of money.
A lot of money.
12:40, so let's wrap up. I also want to say, Alex, we had every year we've got a couple different big conventions, and one of them is Mega Camp. And when all the flooding happened in Houston, we turned it into Mega Relief. And Gary Keller himself was helping clean out and muck the houses and do all that stuff. But our Keller Williams agents, it was the president of which other company? Was it Remax, Century 21? I don't remember. But it was the CEO of another real estate company. His house was affected, and our agents were in that house cleaning it out. Like, that's the company we're with. I know. Okay. Love you guys. We are going to be back here Wednesday. We're almost done. And if I get some news on Mo and have permission to share, I will share. So far, no word. All right. Bye, guys.